Very appropriate. Very appropriate. We have a goblin right here, in fact. And lo and behold, that's what we're doing today. What are you doing, little goblin? This is a good little goblin. I trained him well. I trained my goblin very well. It's all about goblin training. They're good for some things, but not a whole lot. They are just goblins, in fact. This is a little goblin. This is my little goblin, little Teddy Graham. But yeah, I think he's gonna hang out with us today while we talk about goblins really quick. Last week we talked about the kobolds. This week we will discuss the goblins. Just a little bit up the level of your basic baddie minion. This is a little goblin right here, but where the kobold was very cooperative, a packed, just a pack unit, very tight knit. The goblin is very selfish. Goblin only cares about themselves. If the goblin gets into a situation, the only thing it cares about is just getting out of that situation and protecting itself and worrying about itself. So if it has to sell somebody under the bus, it'll do it. If it's got to stab someone in the back really quick to, make a run for it, it's gonna. But the goblins are very conniving, very, little tricksters, you could call them. Individualistic, very weak, though, as well, to the point of, they're not capable of too much unless they are unified, unless they've got a leader behind them. They're not really going to be doing too much just because, again, very small, very weak, and they're individuals, so they're not really going to, unless someone's bullying them into what needs into work, they're not really going to work for anything. That being said, just kind of hopping into just the goblin stat block right here from what we can see. 15 AC, you can hit them. Hit points 7. You're knocking them out with like one punch, one magic missile, one firebolt. Here's what's good for, and here's what works with the goblin. The goblin is good for any sort of stealth, anything in the dark. It's got dark vision of 60 feet. It's got a low passive at 9, which is pretty low, but the stealth itself is a +6. So, normally, if not always exclusively, unless prompted otherwise, a goblin's always going to attack with this number 1 tactic right here, this little ambush I've got set up, just because of their stealth ability, their stealth capabilities. We've got a challenge rating of 1/4. They got a proficiency of +2. Again, they're going to be strong in numbers. Weak alone, you can grab them by the neck and throw them. They've got the nimble escape, so almost like that rogue feature we've seen before. They can take the disengage or the hide as a bonus action. So, if they're in melee combat, they can hit, then disengage, roll out of there. Or, as we're about to show in the ambush here, what they can do with the hide action. But they've got, their just a normal weapon. Both of them shoot for a D6. One's a scimitar, one's a short bow. They're both a D6, just flavored differently. That's it. But again, goblins work better in numbers, so if they are coordinated and they're trying to capture something, of course they're trying to always rob, they're always trying to plunder, they're always trying to, assumingly grab some food too, but whatever they can get their hands on, they're goblins. Just kind of running how I run games, but goblins can be anywhere from, just like Lord of the Rings, where they're bred from the earth and molded from evil, to they could have their own community and, be completely part of a whole different, a city, a wide city where last week I said the kobolds were the sewer people. like union sewer people working in the sewers. You could think of goblins as almost like the machinists, the mechanists. They're tinkering. They're always doing something. They're able to set up traps as well, though they're always loud and just almost like an alert kind of like a trap, just to alert the goblin something's nearby. But in a major city, you could see goblins being, machinists to, factory workers. They're the grunt workers. As long as they have a boss, they'll follow through. But, it just depends on how the DM flavors them for the session. But, just right here, what we're working with on the character sheet, and this is all from, just monster manual based stuff. This is going to get phased out anyways in like 2 or 3 years. But, what we're given is what a basic goblin ambush is going to look like is about 40 feet away. That's their sweet spot, because their short bow can go a full distance of 80 feet, in good range. But the sweet spot's around 40 feet. The goblin's going to try to lay a trap, just something to alarm the rest of the party of goblins that, the trap's been triggered. Get your short bows ready. But once the party or, the target is out there, the goblin is going to, hit with its short bow when it's their turn. Then it's going to instantly it's going to move, and then it's going to take the hide action. That being said, this ambush is going to also happen at night too, I should mention. So it's going to be, the perception checks are going to be with disadvantage when they're trying to figure out what's going on, and when the party is trying to figure out, where they're getting shot from. The goblin is shooting with the bow, moving, taking the hide action, and then waiting for their next turn in order to always have advantage on their attacks. Goblins are always, this is the number one goblin ambush. Rinse and repeat this. If, a goblin gets seen and they start getting picked off, those goblins will bolt quickly. The goblins aren't going to rush into melee combat unless prompted otherwise by a boss. If it's one-on-one with a goblin, the goblin is going to take the disengage and he's going to dash out of there. If he's got, enough juice left in him, he might try to get another hit in, but more than likely, probably not. That being said, that is the bread and butter of the goblin. Very weak, but strong in numbers and strong with the ambush too, because, depending on how many goblins you've got perched out, they can fire with arrows, and if they're behind a tree trunk, they're going to have that +5 for AC because of cover. If they do, however, get into melee, let's say a goblin is, and this would be more of like a leader type goblin to actually go and do this, but they would take their short sword out, or their scimitar. Sorry, and they take their scimitar out. It can be a short sword. Who cares? And they would have combat with the party member, but it would be just hit with their scimitar, and then take the disengage with nimble escape as the bonus action. That way they can hit, disengage, get a little bit further, and you would assumingly so that goblin will be doing that to try to lead that member back to another ambush, almost just trying to bait that player further. And then number 3, this one's very simple. It is law of the land with goblins, and it is whatever the boss says, whether it's a hobgoblin captain, an orc war chief, a big bugbear with a big axe. Whatever the boss says, the goblin is going to do. That being said, if the goblin's really not getting treated right, and he's got the opportunity, he's going to get out of there as quickly as possible, because goblins, again, only care about their survival themselves. But when forced into a subservient, a soldier role, the goblin, they know they're not good at it, but they will do whatever they're told out of fear, or whatever that captain will do to them. They follow their boss's orders to a T, with goblin accuracy. So that being said. But yeah, that's Monsters, another Monster Monday, the Goblins. I appreciate you just hopping by, checking us out. I think next video we're going to go over the Hobgoblins next Monday, so watch that. I'm not sure if we want to do anything, not sure what the next, class is going to be, but might roll into that soon. Might do a druid or a cleric. But yeah, hey, as always, thanks again for watching, guys. Appreciate you just coming out here, and hey, as always, keep it cool.